G'day everyone. Today we're talking about the unseen qualities that make Tom Brady so great. Well, it's actually seen, but I feel it's not widely talked about, and he certainly deserves more recognition for it. So, what are these qualities? Well, we all know he makes everyone around him better. Everyone just lifts their game because of Brady. The players get in better practice, have more discipline, study more film, and he instills a winning culture in the team. Part of this is a result of being drafted 199 in the NFL draft, obviously. The pain that he's had to go through during that draft, the weighing, the anxiety, the feelings of rejection, that's fueled him all these years.
I can't articulate the impact he's had on the game and the impact he has on his teams. And how I sent out something before the game. I think his greatest gift, more than throwing a football, more than reading defenses and all that, is making those around him better. And I've always said that's the ultimate job of the quarterback, is do you make everybody in the building better by how you handle your business, by how you play the game. Those of us that didn't do that feel it later on. You're like, God, I had a great chance to make everybody better, and I didn't. Tom's been doing it for 20 plus years.
The easy way to talk about this team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is to say, hey, they got hot. They figured it out after their late bye week, and they were the hotter team. Kansas City was maybe the better team, but they were hot, and they wanted it more, and they had Brady. That's the easy way to say it. When the truth is a little bit more complicated. First, like Tampa's last 4 games that they won after the bye week were against 4 bad football teams. So they had 3 games really, maybe a 4th really, to get everything right. You know, instead of, they didn't have a preseason and they had so many new pieces, they got 4 things to kind of get it right.
This next conversation between Dan Patrick and Mel Kiper, where they talk about whether Tom Brady might not have lasted as long as he had if he hadn't been drafted so late in the draft. I'd love to know what everyone else thinks about this, because this is an issue that I've thought about personally for quite a long time. I'm more leaning towards that I think Tom would have played just as long as he has just as much a chip on his shoulder, but it might not be a chip. It might just be the competitive side in him. And also his love for the game and his love to compete is on such a high level. I don't think is second to anyone. So I think it would have carried him just as long. The fact that he was drafted so late, that he was rejected so much, I think that a way that he was able to use to fuel him. But if he wasn't that, if he was drafted number 1, I think he would have found another way to fuel his competitiveness, to keep him going and playing for as long as he did. But then that's me just playing games in my head because I'm such a big Brady fan, that's all. But yeah, please let me know what you think about that, because that is a pretty big topic. And I think when Dan Patrick says that Tom actually told him that he wouldn't last as long, I think Tom might just be playing a bit of the media game when he says that. I just think when it comes to football, Brady would just keep going and going until the wheels falls off. That's exactly what his dad has said, and I think it's in his blood. I think that's who he is. And I think when you're that type of person, I don't think that ever leaves you, and you can't really teach that.
Tom Brady told me, it was a few years ago, if he had gone in the first round, he'd probably be out of the league, that he sort of needed to absorb a system, and, you know, it just worked out. Yeah, the injury to Drew Bledsoe. Looking back, do you remember what you even thought of Brady? And do you believe that if he had gone in the first round, he would have been out of the league by now?
Well, what Tom said, I think a lot of quarterbacks have echoed those same sentiments. What if Dan Marino, instead of going to Miami, would have gone to the Detroit Lions at, say, pick 13, whatever it was that year, or in a little earlier in the draft, where Todd Blackledge went to Kansas City? Who knows what would have happened? You know, as we always say, Dan, history would have been rewritten if certain things didn't fall into place. You know, if Drew Brees goes to Miami instead of Dante Culpepper, Nick Saban's never coaching Alabama, and they don't win all these championships. He stays at Miami because they're winning with Drew Brees more than likely. So all these things affect history. There's no question question about that, Dan. But I think for Tom Brady, when you go back, and I looked at his write-up because I wrote him up, I talked about him on draft day. Yeah, he had all the components from a passing standpoint and a competitive standpoint. He just had the 5.24, 5.28 40, which was the slowest 40 time of any quarterback I've ever written up, and the worst vertical at 24.5 inches of any quarterback I had written up. So, again, measurables for quarterbacks mean nothing. We know that, Dan, and it proved out with Tom Brady. He's the test case for that. One of the best ever had 5.24, 5.28, and a 24.5 vertical. So forget about verticals and 40s for quarterbacks. They don't matter. But for Brady, he needed to go to a team that could protect him. And then he slips and slides in the pocket as well as anybody. But he had the right situation, and I think you could say that about a lot of quarterbacks. Boomer Esiason going in the second round, he was disappointed that 3 first-round picks went ahead of him, went in the second round, and it worked out well in Cincinnati for him. So, again, you can't change history, but in some cases, the way things fell looked bad on draft day, but ultimately were great for the player who dropped.
That the mistake that so many people in my position, in other people's position on TV and radio, what they make is they make Super Bowls about stats and championships only, and this just more about kind of the facts and figures. And Tom Brady is not the best quarterback when it comes down to making throws. You'll hear people say, well, he didn't play well in this game, he didn't play well in that game. But being a quarterback is more than just how you play on the field. Okay? How do you prepare? How do you handle adversity? But more than anything, can you get everybody in that locker room to believe in you? And if you look around, okay, between Leonard Fournette and AB and Rob Gronkowski, and really all of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the best attribute Brady brings is belief. And you cannot buy that. You cannot sell that.
It's one thing to have confidence in yourself, but to be able to instantly, when you hit the ground, when you're in a uniform, that people think, well, that guy's a winner, we're going to figure it out. Well, Antonio Brown was available. No, he wasn't. He only wanted to play with one guy. Rob Gronkowski could have been in New England. No, he didn't. He only wanted to play with one guy. Leonard Fournette was out in the street, got cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He wanted to play with one guy. Because all of those guys grew up watching Tom Brady win. He's still winning, and they want a piece of that because they know it changes their career trajectory and post-career trajectory, as well as they have confidence in his ability to lead them.
I've done videos in the past about Brady foregoing money, taking less so the team can get much better players or keep the ones they currently have to keep that chemistry going. Brady gets everyone to believe, to buy in on what they're doing, and it's so much easier when everyone is on board and moving as a single-minded unit because they all believe that with Brady, they got a shot at going to the Super Bowl every year. Because with Brady, they're never out of it. They've always got a chance, and no amount of money can buy that type of belief. You can't buy the belief that a player has in Brady to take them to the promised land.
The fact that he's got a new contract, which likely lowers his cap number to help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, doesn't surprise me at all. So there's not a whole lot that I'm surprised. But again, I think this is good for, everyone's going to talk about how good it is for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But to me, this is truly good for the National Football League because Brady is definitely one of the people in the league that really helps the National Football League for so many reasons. Love him or hate him.
If you were starting a football team and you said who's a better thrower of the football, who's more athletic, who's got more pop, who can do more things, Pat Mahomes, 10 times in 10, it's not close. And in terms of skill set last night, even though he was constantly under duress, you'd probably still take Pat Mahomes. But that's not necessarily what makes you the greatest quarterback of all time. The ability to get everybody to believe, to buy in, to lock in, and to pull in the right direction, that's where the magic is. That's the essence of Brady.
You can get guys who want to play with Brady, think they can play with Brady for cheap.
And Tom, obviously, for his time in New England, what is it about Tom Brady? It just seems like in general, Scott, his contract negotiations end up working in a way that favors both sides and especially the team. And it seems like this instance, as you pointed out, seems more of the same here.
Yeah, Tommy, because his deal is he's about winning and winning championships. Does he like to get paid like everyone else? Sure he does. But he doesn't ever worry about being a pig. To him, winning championships is just as important as getting paid. He knows it already. You know, I go back to when we renegotiated his contract. It was his first big contract after his rookie contract. And when we had that negotiation, he stepped in between Don Yee and myself and talked about, hey, when is enough enough? $10 million a year should be more than enough for me to take care of my family generationally. And he got the deal done with the caveat. He told Bill and myself, he said, listen, guys, I will take less as long as you promise to take that extra money and continue to build a good team around me, to continue to bring in good players that are good dudes. And we did that. And that was something that he did consistently over time in order to make sure that he not only was a terrific player and got paid, but he was never a pig when he came to the table, because what he wanted to do was win championships and share those things not only with his teammates, not only with the front office, not only the coaches, but with his family. So to me, what he's going to do here right now is again, it just goes to show that he is the same guy that he was when he got into the league. He cares about winning championships above all.
What's weird about Brady is in the middle of his career, when he's at his peak athletic ability, when he threw 50 touchdown passes, those years, they didn't win a championship. Now everything is mental game and making everybody believe, and he still has a good arm and he's still athletic in the pocket. Like, watch his feet and play action. He has great feet for any quarterback, let alone one 43 years old. He's not a great, he wouldn't beat anybody in a 40-yard dash, but you don't have to run a 40-yard dash when you're quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you were Brady, would you walk away?
No, because he doesn't do it for this. I mean, I think that's his magic, is that he's just he loves it so much. It's part of the core of who he is. His family's bought into it. He's passionate about it still. I think it just fuels who he is as a human being. I think his body will tell him when he's done, and obviously based on the season and last night, his body isn't saying no anymore.
I'm not surprised by the news at all. My instincts in my conversations with him, told me that he wanted to come back. He was going to come back. So the fact that he is back is not surprising.
There's just a moral authority that goes with that locker room now, and there's a gravitational force that's going to bring people to Tampa to play with Tom Brady because they know he's going to make them better. I think one of the myths in the NFL is players don't want to get better. Players want to go to Pro Bowls. They want to get their incentives. They want to be great players. They want to be on the cover of video games. They want to be talked about, and to do that, they need to get better. You know, the great players keep getting better every single year, and they know that Tom's going to make them better. I mean, he got Antonio Brown back in the league, making money again. I didn't see a single issue with Antonio Brown this season. Pulled Gronk out of retirement. I mean, I think those commercials, I think their T-Mobile commercials are classic. He got Gronk off the couch in Florida. He just has this ability to make people want to come there because they know they're going to have a better chance of reaching their potential and probably play in the last game of the season.
And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends. Have a great day.